Boker Tov. Today's Daf Yomi is Kesubos Daf Hey, and I am broadcasting to you from the Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris. So I hope the sound is going to be okay for you. So we're going to start two lines from the bottom on Dalet Amud Beis, where we have a statement in the Gemara, Amar Mar, Ben Kach or Ben Kach, will Yivol, will Be'er Shabbos, will Be'motzi Shabbos, that a person is not allowed to have their initial bia, their initial intercourse, not on Erev Shabbos, not on Friday night, nor B'motzi Shabbos, not on Saturday, nor on Saturday night. So the Gemara says, Bishlama, the Gemara says, Bishlama B'Erev Shabbos. I understand why they can't have the initial bia on Friday night, Mishum Chabura, because he's making a wound. Ela Motzi Shabbos Amai, well, why can't he have the initial bia on Motzi Shabbos? So the Gemara explains, Amar Rabbi Zera, on the top of Hamid Aleph, Mishum Cheshbonos, because of Cheshbonos. What is Cheshbonos? Rashi says that if you're going to have the first night together on a Saturday night, then he's going to do the meal that night. And he's going to start making calculations on Shabbos. What does he have to spend? And he's going to start thinking about the wedding on Saturday night. And that's going to be a disruption of the Shabbos. And it says, V'daber davar, quoting the verse from Isaiah, chapter 58, that we're supposed to not think about business on Shabbos. So Amalai Abaye, V'cheshbona shvel mitzvah mi asiri. Abaye says, but this is a mitzvah. It's a mitzvah to get married. And have a sudas mitzvah. And a cheshbon of a mitzvah, who says it's prohibited? V'Rav Chisda v'Rav Amnuna, the Amit Ravayu, both of them taught cheshbon shel mitzvah mutar l'chashbon b'Shabbos. If you have a cheshbon of a mitzvah, you're allowed to calculate it on Shabbos. Amar Rabbi Lazar, poskim tzedakah aniyim b'Shabbos. And Rabbi Lazar said, we indeed can determine how much money to give to the poor people on Shabbos. Amar Rabbi Yaakov, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, ochel b'batei kinesios or b'batei midrashos, that you're allowed to go to the synagogues and the Beis Medrash to discuss the needs of the community on Shabbos. If you need to save somebody, or to make a difference. Rabbi Yaakov Bar Idi, and he taught in the name of Yochanan, Mefachim Pikuach Nefesh b'Shabbos. Rashi says, Mefachim, Motzin, or we bring to light, Pikuach. We bring to light if somebody needs saving on Shabbos. Amar Rav Shmuel bar Nachmani, Amar Rav Yochanan, Ochel Tartios or Kirkios, L'Pakech Oliskei Ram b'Shabbos. You can even go to the theaters and the circuses to talk about the communal needs on Shabbos. The Tana Debei Menashe, and the Tana Debei Menashe taught, Mishalchin al Tinokos, we are raised b'Shabbos, that you can arrange for children who to get betrothed to on Shabbos, for a Tinok, and you can arrange for a Tinok who will amdo sefer. You can arrange for a teacher for your child who's going to teach him Torah, or amdo umnis, and to teach him a profession. It's a mitzvah to teach your child a profession. You can arrange for that on Shabbos. So we see you're allowed to do such calculations on Shabbos. Amar Rabbi Zera, Gezerah Shema Yishlot Benov. So what's the problem? The decree is, why don't we get married on Saturday night? Because maybe you're going to slaughter a bird on Shabbos. You'll be such a tumult about making sure, like you hear about the caterers are in such a tumult to make sure that the food is ready for after Shabbos, and so then they're going to slaughter the animal on Shabbos, and that'll be a violation of Shabbos. So Abaye says, well, if that's the case, El Me'ata Yom HaKippurim Shechal Yos B'Sheni B'Shabbos. Let's say Yom Kippur comes on a Monday, and presumably then Yidche, you should push it off, Gezerah Shema Yishlot Ben Of, because you're going to eat your meal on Sunday, and then maybe you're going to slaughter the bird on Shabbos, so you can have your big meal on Sunday. Where it says, no, there's a distinction between the cases. Also, to a navshe, whoa, tarid, there, he's the only one eating the meal. He's not preparing a big feast for all his guests. So therefore, for that reason, he's not going to be as preoccupied, and he's going to not be so preoccupied to slaughter on Shabbos. But in this case, since he's making the meal for other people, he's going to be preoccupied. or inami, or alternatively, hasam islay ravacha. There, in the case of Yom Kippur, the meal is going to be on Sunday, so we could slaughter it on Saturday night. It's not going to be a problem. But in this case, islay ravacha, he's not going to have time. The meal is going to be on Saturday night. So says the Gemara, now that we came to this situation where we're saying that you might come to slaughter the animal on Shabbos because you're preoccupied with the meal that's coming Saturday night. Erev Shabbos Nami. Well, why don't we say that that's the reason also why you can't get married on Friday night? Because maybe you're going to come to slaughter the animal on Shabbos if you're having the big meal on Shabbos. So that's the reason. It's not that you're going to make a wound, but because you might come to make the meal on Shabbos. Gemara asked the question. Now, Ibayu, says the Gemara, when it says in our Mishnah, Basua Niseis Biravi, when it says that a Basua, the virgin, she gets married on Yom Ravi, on Wednesday, now we ask the question, do we say Vinivelis Biravi? Do we say that she has to have the first Bia on Wednesday? We're not concerned that he's going to to calm down. We're not concerned that if the Bia is on Wednesday and he discovers she's not a Basua, that he's going to calm down before he goes to the Bezdin on Thursday morning. Oh, Dilma, or maybe it's, no, we say Basua Nisis Bervi, that she gets married on the Wednesday. Excuse me. The Neveles B'chamishi, and the Bia is on Wednesday night, which is the Yom Chamishi, the Chashina Daita, because we have to be concerned that maybe she's going to come down if he's going to come down if the Bia was on a Wednesday. So how do we answer this question? The Gemara cites Bar Kapara Tashma, the Tani Bar Kapara taught Pesua Niseis B'Ravi v'Nevelos B'Chamishi, that the Pesua gets married on a Ravi and the Bia is on Chamishi, on Thursday night, on Wednesday night, not on Wednesday, but on Wednesday night. Oh, v'Nemerbo Bracho Adagim. Why does the Bia on Thursday, which is Wednesday night? Because the blessing, it says about on Thursday, Yom Chamishi, it says a blessing for the fish. So it's a segua that they're going to have a lot of children. As it says about the fish, Pru Ravu Malua Samayim. Be fruitful, multiply, and fill the earth with water. So the Gemara says, on Almana, Bar Kapara continues, but the widow is Niseis B'Chamishi v'Nevelos B'Shishi. The widow is married on Yom Chamishi, on Thursday, and the Bia is going to be on Thursday night, which is Friday. Oh, v'nemrabo bracho adam, because on Friday man was created, and there it says a blessing for the people. Bru ravu maluas haaretz. So the Gemara says, well, taima mishum bracha. So you're saying that what's the reason you're supposed to get married on Thursday, have the Bia on Thursday, is because we want to have the bracha of the fish. So the whole reason is mishum bracha, ava mishum ikruri daita lo chashinan. But we see from here that the ikruri daita, we're not concerned about the ikruri daita. We're not concerned about the ikruri daita. Ikruri daita lo chashinan, because the whole reason why you get married on Thursday is just because of the fish. It has nothing to do with making sure he doesn't come down. Well, if that's the case, says the Gemara, Almana nami tibal b'chamishi. Well, why don't we say that the widow should get married on Thursday? Since it has nothing to do with the Kurei Daita, let the widow get married on Thursday. All the Nemerbo bracha l'dagim, because there's a blessing for the fish on Thursday. The Gemara says, yeah, but bracha da'adam adifale, but the blessing for the people is better than the blessing for the fish, and so that's why the widow is going to have her initial bia on a Thursday night Friday. The Gemara says, Vinami, or alternatively, another reason why the widow's blessing is on Thursday night Friday is because Mishum Shaktu, because the rabbis were diligent, they made a takana. What was the takana? The Tanya, that we learned in the Brisa. What's the reason why the widow gets married on a Thursday? Vinivelas b'shishi, and she has her initial bia on the Friday. Shema tomer tival b'chamishi, because if you're going to tell her that she should have the initial bia on the Thursday, guess what he's going to do? When machar, the next day, because it's really Wednesday night. So the next day, what's he going to do? Mashkem the guy's going to get up and go to work. And he's just going to go to work. So Shaktu Chachamim al Takanos B'not Yisrael. The rabbis didn't want that. They said you have to be a good husband. The rabbis were diligent about the Takana of the B'not Yisrael. Sheyu Sameach Ima Shlosha Yamim, so that they wanted him to be with her for 3 days, to at least be with the widow for 3 days. Chamishi b'Shabbos, so that Thursday. So therefore they said they get married on Thursday, but the bia shall be Thursday night or Friday, the Erev Shabbos. So therefore he's not going to go up the next day because the bia will be on Friday, the Shabbos, and then he'll be with her also on Shabbos. So the Gemara says, okay, so we saw 2 reasons why the widow should get married on a Friday, have the bia on Friday. It's either because of the bracha of Adam, the blessing for man was on Friday, or else it's because the takana of the rabbis that they have to be together the first 3 days. So ma'ika bein bracha or shaktu. What's the difference between the 2 reasons, between either the reason of the bracha or the reason of shaktu? And it says ika benayu adam bato. Let's say there's a guy who doesn't go to work. So the guy who doesn't go to work, so therefore, according to Rashi, says according to one who says it's the blessing of a man is better, well, he should still also get married on Friday. But according to the person who says, well, a man who doesn't go to work and the whole reason is shaktu, well, then we're not worried he's going to get up and go to work, so he could get married on a Wednesday night also. So the Gemara says, or inami yom tov shechal yos b'erev Shabbos. Or alternative scenario, if there's already a wedding planned for Friday, so then they don't have to have the bia. If there's already a Yom Tov planned for Friday, so they don't have to have the bia on Friday because he's not going to get up and go to work that day. So now that we cited a statement of Bar Kapara, we cited another statement of Bar Kapara. Darash Bar Kapara, Gedolim Maaseh Tzadikim Yoser Maaseh Shemayim V'Aretz. So now we're just stating something of Bar Kapara. It's not even connected to Kesubos. It's just Bar Kapara's statement. And what does he say? Bar Kapara says the works of the tzaddikim, of the righteous, are greater than the works Yoser Mimaiseh Shemayim V'Aretz, are greater than the works of heaven and earth. B'Maiseh Shemayim V'Aretz, because by the works of heaven and earth it's written, Af Yadai Yasta Eretz Vimini Tafcha Shemayim. He says, my hand made the earth, which is one hand, Rashi says, and my right hand formed the heavens. So one hand made the earth. But by the work of the tzaddikim, it says, your dwelling place, he made a dwelling place for it is the work of God. The temple of God, your hands made, meaning to say that the hands were made by 2 hands. That Mikdash was the hands of the righteous and it was made by 2 hands. So therefore we see it's greater than the earth. Heishiv Babel Yechad. So there was a Babylonian there who responded, and his name was Rebbe Chia, and he said, well, what are you talking about? What about the fact that it says, V'yabeshes Yadav Yotzaru? It says, in the dry land, his hands created. So that's in the plural. The Gemara says, Yado Ksiv. Now it's written Yado in the singular, even though that's not our version of Tehillim, but that's the way they had it. The Gemara says, well, it's Yotzaru, they created. So Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, Yotzaru et Bosav. His fingers created it. His fingers on his hand. As it says, Ki er'eh shamecha ma'aseh etzbosecha yarech v'kol chavim asher konanta. So we see from here that it was the ma'aseh etzbosecha, that the heaven and the moon and the stars were made by your fingers. So the Gemara says, Meisvei, we have a contradictory source. One source says, Hashemayim misaprim kavod el, that heavens talk about the glory of God. U'maiseh yadav magid arakia, and the work of your hands, the heaven tells. So we see on the one hand, the Shemayim is talking about the greatness of God, and the heaven on the other hand is talking about the Rakia is talking about his handiwork. So Hachikamar, this is what it means. So there it's in the plural. Maisi Yadav Magid Arakia. That means God created the Rakia with 2 hands, not 1 hand. God created the heaven with 2 hands. So the Gemara says, Hachikamar, Maisi Yadayim Shel Tzadikim, the handiwork of the righteous, Mi Magid. Who's going to say about the handiwork of the righteous? Arakia. The Rakia is going to talk about it. So as Rashi explains, when it says Maisi Yadav, when the work of his hands, that refers to the work of the righteous, because their hand, the work of the righteous, is called the Maisa of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's the Maisa Yad of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the work of the hands of God. So Umayni, what is this work of the righteous? This is the matar, this is the rain. And that's what Rashi explains, because they pray for rain and immediately the rain falls down. So now we have another statement that Bar Kapara taught. Darash Bar Kapara, Maidach Siv, what do we do with the verse? It says in Deuteronomy, you shall keep a spike or a shovel on your weapons to use to go to the bathroom. So as a shovel to go to the bathroom. Al tikri azanecha, says the Gemara, says Bar Kapara, don't read azanecha, your weapons, elo osnecha, but on your ears. Shem yishma adam davar she'enu lagun, if a man will hear something that's not appropriate, yaniach etzbosav ba'aznan, he shall put his fingers in his ears. V'hainu damar Rebbe Lazar, and this is what Rebbe Lazar taught him, nema etzbosav shel adam domos liyasedos. What's the reason why the fingers of a person are similar to pegs? In my time, what Gemara says, Rashi says, how are they similar to pegs? If you want to say it's because they're separated, no, that's not similar to a stake, as the Gemara says, and they're not connected. No, each one of them has their own purpose. That's why they're separated. Each one has their own specific purpose. Each finger. So that's not how they're similar to a peg. How do they have their own purpose? The Amar Zu Zeres, that the pinky is considered to measure the span of the choshen, of the breastplate, and then Zu Kamitza, the fourth finger, we call the ring finger, that's used to scoop up, the Kohen would scoop up from there the Kamitza of the mincha, and then the next one is the Amma, the middle finger is from your elbow to the down, you measure, and to the end of the middle finger is called an amma, and Zu Etzba, and then the index finger, what we call, that's for the placing of the blood, the application of the blood of the Karban Chatos, and then there is the Zegoda, and then there's the thumb, that's where you place the blood on Aaron, when Aaron was inducted into the Miluim, and also the Mitzorah, you place the blood on the thumb. So each one has a specific purpose, so that's why they're there, that's why they're separated. So the Gemara says, no, matam mishufos kiyasedis. What's the reason that the fingers are tapered at the end like spikes? Shem yishma adam davar she'einu hogan. If a person, so that if a person hears something that's not appropriate, yaniach etzbosav ba'azlam, he'll put his finger into his ear. And Tana Debei Rav Shmuel Nema Ozen Kur Kasha. What's the reason why the ear is completely hard? But however, Va'elia, but the bottom part over here is raka, is soft. So that Shem Yishma Adam Davar Sheino Hagan. So if a person hears something he doesn't like, what should he do? Yaakov Al Yalatocha. He covers up his ear so he stops listening to it. Tana Rabbanan, the rabbis taught, Al Yashmiya Adam Oznav Dvarim B'Telam. A person should not allow his ears to hear nonsensical words because the ears are so sensitive and they'll be singed first. And we learned that Rashi says from the Avodah Zarah, from an idolater who singes an animal to eat it, that you can eat it even from the top of the ear, which is the first part that's cooked, but the singeing it is not considered cooking, and so therefore that would be allowed to eat it. So the Gemara now, like we said in Kesubos, this first chapter of Kesubos goes to many different topics throughout Shas, and now the Gemara goes to Hilchos Shabbos. The Gemara asks the question: are you allowed to have the initial consummation with a besula, with a virgin, on Friday night on Shabbos? Do we say dam mifka pocket? Do we say the blood is just gathered in its place, and it's just waiting for the door to open, and then it, so to speak, to Pesach, whatever's blocking it, and so the blood is really released. It's not connected to the body. You just have to make an opening for it to go through. Or maybe the blood of the basulim is actually attached to the body, and you have to separate it, and that would be a prohibition of mefarik, of separating something. So what's the answer? Vimtim tomer da mifkat pocket. And even if you want to say that the dam is really just gathered there, and so therefore you're not making a wound, and so therefore you might have thought it's permitted, but nevertheless, what's the intent of the person who's releasing it? L'damu tzarech is the person who's releasing it for the purpose of the blood, and so therefore he's intending to take it out. Vishari, and so therefore, since he wants the blood, it's permitted. Odilmo l'pesach utzarech. Maybe he wants to make the opening, and therefore it will be prohibited. It will be aser, because you're not allowed to intend to make that opening. Because what's the reason why the problem will be with intending to make the opening? Rashi doesn't tell us, but there could be any number of reasons. You could say that it's like making maybe it's like building, boneh, or it could be like making a wound, and there it's prohibited. But so the Gemara says, if you want to say no, he wants the blood, and the opening is just, as we say in Paris, en passant, right? It's just a passing thing. If that's the case, we have another dispute. Do we say halacha to Rabbi Shimon? Do we say the law is like Rabbi Shimon? Damar davar she'em miskaven is mutter, who says that if it's not your intent to get the opening, it's just your intent to release the blood, therefore it's permitted. Or do we say halacha Rabbi Yehuda damar davar she'em miskaven is aser, that even though it's not your intent to make the opening, it's just your intent to get the blood, it's going to be prohibited. Vimtim tzolomar halacha Rabbi Yehuda, and if you want to say, well, the law is like Rabbi Yehuda, that something without intent is prohibited. Maybe it's considered destroying the opening, and then it will be permitted. Or maybe it's considered fixing it, in which case it will be prohibited. So there's another version of this, which says, if you want to say the dam is really attached and you're severing it, it's not about the mifkat paket, but it's about the chibura. He needs the blood for aser, and so therefore you're attaching it. Detaching it's prohibited. Or maybe he needs its own benefit. Vishari, maybe he needs his own benefit, and it's permitted. Or maybe even if you want to say that he needs his own benefit, it's not for the blood, and so therefore it should be permitted. And he's just having to be it for his own benefit, and the blood is memela coming. Well, maybe you say the law is like Rabbi Yehuda, that it's davar she'eino miskaven, it's not his intent, but it's still prohibited. Or maybe the law is like Rabbi Shimon, and it be permitted. And if you want to say the law is like Rabbi Yehuda and it's prohibited, mekalka b'chabura or metakim b'chabura. Do we say he is ruining it with a wound, or do we say he's fixing it with a wound? And if you want to say that he's destroying it with a wound and therefore it's permitted, do we say that b'mekalkal? Do we say that when you're destroying something, the law is like Rabbi Yehuda? The law is like Rabbi Yehuda, who says that davar she'eino miskaven is prohibited, that it's not your intent is prohibited. Oh, halacha Rabbi Shimon, or we say the law is like Rabbi Shimon, that but do we say the law is like Rabbi Yehuda by mekalkal, who says it's permitted? Because when Rabbi Yehuda says something that's not your intent is prohibited, that's b'metakein, but that's where you're fixing it. By mekalkal, he would say it's permitted. Or do we say the law is like Rabbi Shimon, who says that the mekalkal b'chabura is chayev? Rashi says, and so therefore we're going to see the whole discussion about this tomorrow in tomorrow's daf. So this is today's daf. I hope the audio was okay. We're in Charles de Gaulle Airport, actually the train station next to it, and God willing, the audio was good.